Hey guys, welcome. I'm really excited to bring you today's module because the reality of perception, what this lesson is really about, is understanding the subcomponents of how we perceive things. And here's the thing, you and I, because of what you're going to learn here today, you and I could be at the exact same event sitting right next to each other, but when we're asked to talk about it later, you and I will remember different things about it. We'll interpret it differently. It's imprinted in our memory differently. The reason for that is because of these subcomponents that we're going to go through here. What I'm really trying to say with that, though, is that I could have four guys in the same room. We're all technically in the same reality, but because our perception is different, we're all in different realities. Can you see that? See, even if you and I right now, we are in the same reality, yet you and I are both in different realities, even if we're in the same room. Because the thing is, what you're perceive, because reality is nothing but what you perceive it to be, right? There's reality, but the only thing you know about reality is what you're perceiving it to be. Uh, Now, your perception can be changed, though. And as your perception changes, so does what you perceive reality to be. Hence, by changing your perception, you can change your reality. That sounds super basic, right? So I will make this real for you right now. I invite you right now to look around the room that you're in and look for something that is blue. Look for blue anything. Look for as many blue things as you can. Go right now. Blue, blue, blue. Look for blue everywhere you can, anywhere you can see blue. Just keep looking for blue right now, right now. Close your eyes and tell me what you saw that was brown. All right, now if you open your eyes and look for brown, can you see a little bit more brown this time than you saw before? So why is that? It's because one of the subcomponents of how you perceive reality is focus. It's what you choose to focus on. It's controlled by a muscle called the RAS, the reticular activating system. And effectively, because you were choosing to focus on blue, you would see more blue. When you chose to focus on brown, you saw more brown. Furthermore, while it's seek and you shall find, it's also seek and you shall find even when it's not there. Because you may have been looking around at blue and you may have saw things that are not really blue. It's kind of teal. It's kind of in the middle of blue and green, maybe. But you're like, yeah, it's blue. It's blue enough, right? Maybe you saw some things which are not really brown. Maybe they're maroon, but you were like, yeah, no, that's brown, right? And that's why, see, so you can see here, delete, distort, generalize. Our mind deletes, distorts, and generalizes information to tailor into our uh, the subcomponents of our perception. And that's why we've got to be careful, because in the same way that you saw turquoise or teal or navy and you said it was blue, in the same way, if you're just looking for the good things in a person, you might see things which are like kind of not that good, but you will interpret it as good because you'll justify it in a different way than someone who has a more balanced perspective, right? All this stuff leads to is seeing the world in a different way and maybe seeing opportunities where you didn't see opportunities before, and maybe seeing threats that you didn't even realize were threats before. And how we use this and hone this in is we've got to tailor your perception to the actual goals that you're trying to get to, right? So how you can apply this, let me take you through this actual diagram. You've got the external event. So right in that context, the external event was you looking around, looking for blue. Now, what happens is here are the filters. We have meta programs. I'll explain what they are. We have the decisions, our values, our beliefs, our memories, our senses. So we have all of these different components which determine how we filter reality. There's 8 billion according to neurolinguistic programming, NLP, which is what this is from. There are 8 billion bits of information coming to us at one time, and that's too much. So we need a way to filter it out, to make it easy enough for us to actually understand and interpret. So what a meta program is, it's an overall view of how we're seeing something at a macro level. So for example, try to answer this question, right? With your first instinct, I'm going to give you a question. I'm going to give you a blank. So I'm going to give you a statement with a blank at the end. Use your first instincts to answer it, okay? The world is. So I'll try again. The world is. Your first instincts, you answer what the world is, right? And here's the thing. Let's say that you just said the world is beautiful, right? Would you agree that you will see the world differently from the guy that says the world is confusing? You know, I remember that when we did this at a fire pit event, there was a guy that said the world is confusing, and he was the only one that got lost on the way to the venue. So isn't that interesting, right? Because his meta program is that the world is confusing, and so he's almost looking for ways to be confused in the same way that you were looking for blue instead of brown, right? If you think the world is beautiful, you're more likely going to see more beautiful things. Does that make sense? In the same way, the biggest driver of human behavior is actually what we think of ourselves. That's why we don't steal things, right? Because you have a story in your head that I'm not a thief. And so then when presented with the opportunity to potentially steal something, you're like, nah, I'm not a thief. I'm not going to do that. So how we really hone this is we really think about what your goals are and then what all of this needs to be to actually help you get to your goals. Hope that makes sense, right? Because we need to pick up on the right things and have the right mindset, the right way of thinking, the right way of thinking about ourselves, the right way of thinking about the world, to actually get our goals. Like, let's say that you wanted a Ferrari, but your perception of the world is the world's full of scam artists and all rich people are like they're cheats, you know, like or they've stolen from the poor. If you think that way, you're most likely not going to get rich enough to buy a Ferrari. So I hope you can see how all of these subcomponents determine what's called your internal representation. The internal representation is your perspective. So there's a reality that's happening outside, but then you have an internal representation where everything comes into you through these filters and you're representing it internally. And then as a result of how you're interpreting it, and also it says physiology because your body has an effect on how you feel as well, and I'll explain that in another module. But the meaning that you give to everything that's coming in, right, plus what you're doing with your body changes the way that you feel, for better or for worse, hence determines what you decide to act on, right? So how we can apply this right now, to just give you a little taste of it. You already tried the world is, right? So I'm going to give you another one. Use your first instincts once again to answer this one, okay? I am. So think about what you said. Is it I am a good person, I am lost, I am this, I am that. Whatever you may have chose to say I am, can you see how you'll probably end up creating that reality for yourself with that subconscious story? If you think that you're a good person, you'll probably end up doing good deeds to re-justify that you are a good person. If you think you're lost, you'll probably immerse yourself in information only to not really make decisions about what you should or shouldn't take in, coming to the conclusion that you are indeed lost. So I'm not trying to make this hard. I'm just trying to tell you these are the actual components to changing your reality. It starts with our mind and how we're perceiving everything. So try this one. In relation to my goals, I am. And to be fair to you, we haven't set your goals yet, maybe. So for that reason, you may not know what to say there, and that's okay. But can you see that in order for us to really make, and I spoke about certainty in that other module, right? I have guys who come into this looking to create a fulfilling relationship. but the story in their head is, oh, it's hard, I don't really know how to do it, like my wife's not going to help, whatever. Like, imagine if the story in your head was, I am destined to have the most fulfilling relationship and this girl is meant for me, which is literally the story that's in my head. Right? I I mean, if you think that way, even when times get tough, if you think that way with total certainty, hey, I'm destined to have the most fulfilling, happy relationship, happy, supported relationship, and the girl that I'm with, she is meant for me. Because I think that way, when times get hard, that underlying thought pushes me to be a little bit more resourceful and help resolve things, help fight for things when times get hard, right? Like, it helps me show up in a better way because I'm like, I know if I want to have a fulfilling relationship, I need to show up in the best way I can, you know? So all of these things influence our behavior. So these are all the fundamentals. Now, in the next module, we're going to get into actually what you like actually taking some action and moving forward. And it starts with defining our focus. So thanks for joining me in the fundamentals module, and I'll see you in the next one.